All right, let's go ahead and look at multiplying decimals for today. So the I can multiply decimals. So this is part 1, and in this lesson we're only going to focus on multiplying a decimal by a whole number. So before we start, let's go ahead and look at some vocab words. We have the word factor times a factor is equal to a product. And I'm going to substitute in some numbers. Let's say 3 times 4 equals 12. Real quick to review, 12 is my product, so the answer to a multiplication problem. 4 is a factor and 3 is a factor. These are factors, this is the product. Some vocab real quick. All right, let's look at 6/10 times 8. So when we have a decimal multiplied by a fraction, we can think of it as 6/10 8 times, or 8 groups of 6/10. Remember, they're not whole numbers, so when you multiply a decimal by a whole number, 6/10 is not a whole number, but when you multiply a decimal by a whole number, you can think of it as repeated addition. So 6/10 8 times. Here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 4, 8. Lost count. So 6/10 8 times. This is what this is saying. 6/10 8 times. Repeated addition, right? When you have a whole number and a decimal. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. 48 tenths. When you're adding and subtracting decimals, lining up the decimal, I have 48 tenths. Now the repeated addition is understanding multiplying decimals conceptually, but to write out the procedure for multiplying decimals, we're going to take a shortcut of using just the standard algorithm. So you line up the numbers, don't line up the decimals. And then you just multiply like you would. 6 times 8 is 48. But you're not multiplying 8 wholes times 6 wholes. You're multiplying 8 wholes times 6/10. So what you do is you look at the factors. 6/10 and 8 wholes are my two factors. And you underline or you count how many decimal place values there are. So in this problem, there's 1. 6 times 8 is 48. But it's not 48 wholes. I have to adjust my answer. It's 4 and 8/10. I move it over one place value because there is one decimal in the factors. There's going to be one adjusted place value in the product. All right, let's do one more. I'll do 2/10 times 5. Remember, we're just talking about whole numbers and decimals here. Again, conceptually looking at it, you can think of it as 2/10 5 times, or 5 groups of 2/10. Conceptually, understand it's repeated addition when you multiply a whole number and a decimal. So 2/10 5 times, lining up the decimal, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I have 10 tenths, or better known as 1 whole. The multiplication of decimals. Line it up like you would a regular standard algorithm, lining up the numbers. 2 times 5 is 10, but it's not wholes. You have one decimal place in the factor. So you're going to adjust the answer one decimal place over one whole. All right, so this is just starting us off with multiplying decimals. We went over factors, went over what a product is, understanding that when you multiply a whole number by a decimal, it's repeated addition. But instead of writing all this out, we just use the standard algorithm and adjust the answer. Again, writing it out conceptually, understanding it is repeated addition, whole number by a decimal, but writing it out using the standard algorithm and adjusting the answer for multiplying decimals by whole numbers.